How did you find the music you're really into? Where did you first listen to it? I'm guessing it was through clicking on stuff online, friend recommendations, or some weird algorithm thing. My usual methods of finding stuff is clicking on social media and seeing people post charts and discuss their favorite albums and clicking whatever they link. Alternatively, just whatever pops up in my face. This is my main activity, going through a ton of websites, looking for some new music and hoping to find something cool. Most of the time I don't come up with anything, but that's to be expected, especially when you're clicking without any direction in mind. The search is usually for me to find something that's cool and makes me experience something new, or just resonates with me. So when I find something that does, it feels really special. When it happens, it's like finding someone I can identify with, either through their music or through what they're saying. I guess it makes me feel seen somehow. Music has always played such a heavy role in my life. I know I'm not unique in this. I know other people feel the same. Especially people who make their own stuff. And even more so for people who get really experimental with their sound and try something that will definitely alienate a huge amount of listeners. Making something new, like wholly new, is a skill I can't even wrap my head around. Oh yeah, discovery. There's a limit that clicking on random links can honestly take me. I get overwhelmed searching sometimes. Going through databases, the archive, and keeping up with recent releases really puts into perspective the amount of music that exists. Every day, every minute, something new is being created out there somewhere. Part of that is really cool. So many people out there have an idea, small or large, that they want to share with others. Another part of it is tragic. Since so much is released all the time, some of it's bound to fall through the cracks. Some people will try their hardest to advertise it to no avail. Others will just release it and not let anyone know about it. Though most of the time it just ends up forgotten about in someone's computer. Or played once in some random venue or in someone's bedroom, never to be heard again. Maybe someone finds it, maybe someone listens to it, but that's about it. I guess that part is why I find digging through the archive so engaging. Thousands of years of art so easily accessible by anyone is bound to contain something interesting. Maybe you find someone's game from 4083 with a cool mechanic that you're surprised no one else has done. Or maybe it's an album from the 2000s that puts a feeling down that you can't really explain with words, but you feel it in the music. It's knowing that even though thousands of years have passed, people have always been doing something cool, or someone has always gotten you, even if it's not now. Most data out there gets deleted before we even consider backing it up. Sometimes it's catastrophic, like a server dying. Other times it's small things, like clearing out your hard drive. It becomes a tragedy when something like a music streaming platform goes bankrupt or a social media site dies. They hold so much music, so much of people's lives, and they're just gone. What's left is what someone thinks is important to keep, or stuff that just gets lucky and stays alive. This is a cycle that's been happening for centuries though. People's art and just their lives getting lost every couple decades. A cycle that's been repeating for centuries. A tragedy with every dying server. We just keep what we can in these archives. What we have is massive, but it's only a sliver. In this sliver though, we see so much that is still relevant today, touching people now as it did back then. As the first servers died, we were faced with the question, what do we save? Obviously the answer is save what we can, but someone at some point has to make a decision as to what is worth saving. Whether it's a library deciding what we need to keep, or someone moving stuff over to a new hard drive, someone is making these decisions. Small or large, it's still the same question. It sounds a bit dramatic, but it honestly comes down to priorities. Storage and resources are limited, so what is important? What needs preservation? Thinking about it too much gets me down. The one that weighs heaviest on me is the loss of music. It's such a huge part of my life. I probably spend months of my life going through the databases, trying to experience all I can. These databases have music from long ago that no one really thinks about or has heard about in probably hundreds of years. I want to know what these musicians wanted to say. I want to be part of their audience. It doesn't matter that I was never a concept in their head. The feeling they were trying to convey doesn't die as long as it exists. I want to feel connected to them, in a way only music can. An attitude a lot of people have with music is, the older it is, the better it is. The idea is that if it's older, the more effort has been put into preserving it, which people take to mean it's better. It's better because all of these people in the past wanted to save it so people in the future could experience it. I don't really believe this is the case. Sometimes something is just really lucky. The goal of preservation is just to keep stuff. It's not really to say what's good and what's bad. There's no reason to pick and choose favorites. It's just if you like it, right? More often than not, what survived is more correlated with popularity than quality. The more copies that exist of something, the higher the chance that it'll survive will be. Popularity isn't a barometer for quality. Even if it's the most popular thing in the world for a time, that doesn't guarantee it'll survive. There are many musicians who seem to have been megastars in their time whose music has been lost, with their only record of existence being the merch and discussions left behind. This isn't to say what's being preserved is completely random. People are choosing to preserve some things, but usually it's organizations and communities doing that. Most of the time it isn't a specific album, but blocks of data. These surviving data guide the history we have access to. Very rarely is there an individual with a personal archive that survives centuries. Even in the case of preserving every webpage someone goes on, you're bound to miss a ton. These services mainly serve people who are aware of archiving and want to keep stuff. So it relies on the browsing habit of that type of guy. We've had the internet for thousands of years, and people are still doing what they did at the beginning. Releasing music, releasing art, trying to make a name for themselves in a scene, and either succeeding or failing. Most of this isn't preserved, but there's enough to know that it's been a desire forever. So, why keep making music? We have enough to soundtrack literally everyone's lives with no repeating track for decades. Why keep doing this? Isn't there enough? Not really. The point of art is to express yourself. It always has been a means of communicating with others, and connection is inherently a part of being alive. You can't express yourself entirely with other people's works. No one person is made entirely of what they consume. Of course there's inspiration and impact, but there's still someone in there. Whatever is made, even if it's a copy, it'll still reflect the creator in some way. Anyone with an idea can make something. No matter the time or location, people have and will always want to make things. It's easy to fall into a trap and thinking all your hard work will be lost and forgotten over time, especially if you're looking through an archive where a lot of stuff has been lost and forgotten. But it honestly doesn't really matter. Being preserved doesn't mean you're good or bad, it's just you're lucky. You're in the right block, you're in the right space. The most beloved pieces of media have been lost. Time passes, unexpected stuff happens, and things just get lost. The most important time for something to exist isn't thousands of years later, it's the moment you experience it. Yeah, it sucks that some things will never be experienced again, but that's okay, that's life. No one can stop things like natural disasters, fires, war, or malfunctioning hardware. That doesn't change the fact that the art impacted someone. Even if it's not massive, even if it's just one person who thinks about it sometimes, that matters. These impacts live on forever, in the people they inspire. This too, one day, will be lost. So let's enjoy the moment. Let's enjoy what we have now.